If you've been wanting to run D&D for a long time, but believe you don't have the time, what if I told you that you do? Everyone has 24 hours to juggle. Even if you have 8 hours of sleep, an 8-hour workday, maybe 1 hour of a commute, another hour for like meals or cooking, you still have 6 hours to play with. So in this video, I'm gonna share with you the tips and strategies that I used when I was running a weekly D&D campaign while I was in college studying engineering, while I was leading a student organization, and how I'm still able to watch anime, play video games, and sleep. Let's get started. So the first strategy that I did was I used a calendar. Using a calendar probably sounds like the most boring thing that I can say, but it is objectively the best way to look at your week. So first, I would block out the time for all of my non-negotiables. Class, work, gym, meals, whatever. Next, I would choose what day would my session be. For me, I ran all of my sessions on Mondays from 8:30 to 11 p.m. because we're just complete psychopaths, and it kept up with the whole Monday Night Raw or Monday Night Football theme. From whatever time is left, I would actually block out time that I'm dedicating to D&D prep. Personally, I like to dedicate one day and one block of like 3 to 4 hours just for D&D prep. Some weeks I'm doing like an hour here or an hour there, whatever works for you. One key to remember is, just like the Dungeon Master's Guide, the calendar is just a guideline. So if one thing takes up much more time or as little time, you can adjust it accordingly. Step number 2 is to watch for small breaks in time. Even if you're working 8-hour shifts or you have class literally all day, there's usually some downtime. Maybe it's waiting for the teacher to arrive, or maybe you're waiting for your coffee to be made. Before, I would be doom scrolling on my phone, which, is objectively unproductive. So instead, I would write maybe 1 to 2 bullet points, and this can be about anything. Ideas, monster names, inspiration, and once I'd make it to my D&D prep time that I set on my calendar, it's less of a lift to get started into D&D because I already have the ideas that I wrote previously. And even if the ideas are not particularly for this next session, it's still good because I can refer to that later in the campaign. Another strategy that I used is creating a session goal. As Dungeon Masters, we strive to have long-term success and long-term storytelling, but if you're limited on time with this D&D group, then something needs to happen each session. So instead of overthinking and trying to build this massive plot, try to think session to session. The goals that I'm talking about here can be as simple as the party must arrive here at this location, or the parties must know this from this NPC, or they speak to this NPC. Maybe the goal is that the party has to finish 1 to 2 encounters before the session ends. You've actually saved some time because now you have that shining light that you're trying to build towards. Even if the rest of the session goes off the rails, but you completed your goal, then you can feel great about the session. One way to force yourself into working on something, D&D or otherwise, is to trick your brain into going into what is called the flow state. The flow state is just a term where you start something and you legitimately cannot stop. Think of it as playing a video game until 3 in the morning or binging the rest of your Netflix series. Sometimes we need to trick our brain into this flow state because sometimes our brain looks at D&D, and especially D&D prep, as work, and nobody wants to do work. So that's why I use the Pomodoro Technique. All you do is set a timer for 25 minutes, and in these 25 minutes, you hyper-focus on a singular task to do. Then once the timer runs out, you take a 5-minute break. You can get up and stretch, walk around, grab a coffee, check Twitter, whatever. And you repeat this process 3 more times. Once that's done, you can set a timer for a much longer break, maybe 30 minutes to an hour. If you want to be more loose about this, one thing that you can do is you set a timer, but you mute the alarm. So even though the timer is running, it doesn't actually ring once you finish it. Because once I get into the flow state, I forget all about the timer altogether, and I can just hyper-focus on whatever I'm doing. And all of this was to create a system. And a system is just another term for creating habits. It's like waking up at a certain time in the morning or going to the gym every day. The best part of having a system is when you're like me and you have no idea what you're supposed to be doing today, you can lean back on that system and be productive. So if this is something you're into, if you're into D&D or productivity, be sure to hit that like button and be sure to subscribe to the channel because I'm hoping to make another one next week.